Colleen Hoover schemed for months, dead set on shoving Justin Baldoni out and snatching control of her book's rights. She didn't care who got wrecked. Justin was just collateral damage. With Blake Lively at her side, she backed shaky accusations, ripped the project from his hands, and now she's just retiring. This isn't just manipulation, it's cold-blooded strategy. From dodging her son's alleged scandal to secretly plotting against Justin, Colleen's moves have been ruthless. But is she really stepping away? Or just running before the backlash explodes? Buckle up! This gets wild! Let's rewind to 2019 before It Ends With Us became a global sensation. Justin Baldoni spotted the book's potential early and personally reached out to Colleen. He gushed over how romantic, tragic, and powerful the story was, and she was eating it up. She loved his passion, responded immediately, and was so on board that she even suggested he play Ryle, the male lead. When casting rolled around, Colleen herself pitched Blake Lively, claiming she was a fan. Justin agreed without hesitation, but while Blake was one threat, Colleen was an even bigger one. Justin might be the nice guy, but at some point, he has to stop playing peacemaker. Then came the bombshell. Everything was fine between Justin and Colleen until Kelsey and her dragons entered the picture. That's when Colleen flipped. She suddenly backed Blake, who, by the way, hadn't even read the book before landing. The role! Blake didn't even know who Colleen was, yet Colleen threw her full support behind her, completely blindsiding Justin. And when the backlash erupted, Colleen vanished from social media like she was never involved. But here's where it gets even darker. While Colleen was upstairs with the cast, Justin and his family were literally locked in the basement on that disastrous day. Fans are furious, calling out Colleen for throwing Justin under the bus just to align with bigger Hollywood names. And now that everything's gone up in flames, does Colleen have the nerve to address any of it? Of course not. She just disappears, pretending none of it ever happened. But don't think the chaos stops. There. Blake wasn't the only one completely missing the mark with her promotions. Colleen Hoover pulled a move so outrageous, it left fans speechless. The woman who claims her book is based on her parents' real-life marriage actually tried to release. And It Ends With Us coloring book. Yes, you read that right. A coloring book about trauma, deep emotional scars, and heartbreak. The backlash was instant. Fans were furious, and she had to yank it off the market before anyone could blink. That's when people started connecting the dots. Was Colleen secretly bitter about selling the rights too early, leaving her with less of the fortune she could have made? And let's be real, Justin wasn't about to just hand those rights back after everything that went down. Looking back, this was the moment Colleen's resentment toward Justin became crystal clear. The book's massive success meant he was making more money than she ever could, and she wasn't happy about it. But unlike Blake Lively, Colleen at least tried to save face, ripping the coloring book from shelves after fans dragged her. But, trust me, that was nothing compared to what came next. Rumors started spreading like wildfire about Colleen's son allegedly assaulting a 16-year-old girl after meeting her on Snapchat, knowing full well she was still in high school. The team claimed she even reached out to Colleen for support. But instead of acting like a responsible adult, Colleen blocked her. Blocked her? A woman who built her career writing about trauma and survival silenced a victim because her own son was involved. How does that even make sense? And when Colleen finally responded, no accountability, just defense. She insisted the story was twisted, claiming, "We talked about it. I apologized to her, thanked her for bringing it up, and offered to give her our home address and lawyer info if she wanted. I made sure to hold my son accountable for sending inappropriate messages." Really? That's it? That's her idea of responsibility? This is the same woman who's been praised for giving a voice to survivors, and when it was her turn to do the right thing, she was nowhere to be found. Between her shady behavior with Justin, the Blake Lively drama, and the shocking accusations surrounding her son, Colleen Hoover's reputation is spiraling. And the internet is not letting this slide. This isn't just about a book adaptation anymore. It's about someone who built a brand on advocating for trauma survivors, but keeps making moves that scream the opposite. And let's talk about how she ghosted social media the second things got real. She's coming off as someone who can't handle consequences and refuses to take responsibility. Buckle up, because this is only the beginning. It Ends With Us is tangled in a storm of controversy, and every new receipt makes things look even worse. Let's break down how Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively allegedly teamed up to rip the rights out of Justin Baldoni's hands and seize control of the entire project. People were blindsided by Colleen's actions. Out of nowhere, she jumped on social media to lavish Blake with over-the-top praise, right after Justin was accused of allegedly assaulting her on set. But looking back, this whole thing reeks of a carefully crafted setup. Colleen called Blake honest, kind, supportive, patient, and even thanked her for being a nice human. Seriously? This is the same Blake Lively accused of running the entire production into the ground just to take control. The same Blake who, according to behind-the-scenes leaks, cared more about aesthetics than staying true to the heart of the book. She allegedly bullied her way into getting an entire scene changed. Pure chaos. And this is who Colleen calls a nice human? Yeah, people aren't buying it. And let's talk about this narrative Blake is pushing against Justin. If it had any truth to it, wouldn't more people have come forward by now? Crew members, cast members, anyone? Instead, total silence. Meanwhile, Blake is the one with a long history of shady accusations. So what's really going on here? Well, Blake led the charge against Justin and Colleen. She followed her every word. Fans are starting to wonder, was Colleen just trying to stay in Hollywood's good graces? Or was she bitter that Justin wasn't making her the kind of money she could have earned with Blake in charge? Whatever the motive, one thing is clear. Colleen might have seriously miscalculated. And now, she's feeling the heat. She thought she could cozy up to the Hollywood elite and the public wouldn't notice. Big mistake. People are watching, and Colleen's learning the hard way. Look at what happened with Jennifer Lopez and other celebs, who thought they could manipulate the narrative. Oh no, the internet isn't that easy to fool anymore. Then there's the footage that raised major red flags. In a CNN interview, when asked about a potential It Ends With Us sequel, Blake casually dropped a bombshell. She'd be all in if Colleen had the rights. Wait, what? Last time we checked, those rights belonged to Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios. So how was Colleen acting like she had any claim to them? The whole thing felt way too calculated. And let's be real, Colleen's sitting there, all calm and collected, while Blake makes what can only be described as a diabolical comment about getting the rights back from Justin. That's not just suspicious, it screams shady backroom plotting. What exactly were Colleen and Blake whispering about behind closed doors? Because this definitely wasn't just a coincidence. And let's not forget, by this point, Colleen and Blake had tried every dirty trick in the book to pressure Justin into selling the rights. But Justin, he wasn't budging. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more suspicious, what does Colleen do? She quietly launches her own production company, Heartbones Entertainment. Oh yeah, now it's really starting to make sense. Then, in October, Variety dropped a bombshell. Another Colleen Hoover movie deal was in the works. She and her partner were setting up an entire new production company to handle all her book adaptations. But here's the real question. Why would she do that unless she planned on getting those rights back from Justin? Doesn't this whole thing reek of behind-the-scenes plotting? And hold on, there's a major detail we cannot ignore. That same month, Colleen made a massive legal move, switching to a top-tier law firm that represents A-list stars like Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt. Random business decision. Not a chance. This was a strategic play. They were gearing up for something big, stripping Justin of the rights and handing them straight to Colleen's new company. If that doesn't scream too convenient, I don't know what does. Now, let's really connect the dots. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have more money and Hollywood clout than most people could dream of. If they wanted in on Colleen's business, is it really that hard to believe they played a hand in pushing Justin out? Think about it. If Colleen and Blake were already scheming back in August, but Justin still legally owned the rights, then something shady was brewing behind closed doors. And now, here's where things take a seriously sinister turn. Buckle up, because we're about to expose why Blake used the harassment claim against Justin. Trust me, this wasn't some random coincidence. This was a calculated strategy, and the receipts are hiding in plain sight. When Justin first bought the rights to It Ends With Us, a morality clause was baked into the contract. Don't know what that is? Let me break it down. It's a standard Hollywood deal. Kind of like how Diddy lost his keys to the city after facing allegations. If the person holding the rights gets accused of anything shady, especially something as serious as sexual assault, the deal is done. And guess what? The contract made it crystal clear. If Justin were ever accused, the rights would automatically revert back to Colleen. And who would Colleen hand those rights to? Yep, you guessed it. Blake Lively. Can you see where this is going now? Blake's lawsuit against Justin, using that very clause. Yeah, that wasn't an accident. They played this game smart, hitting him with the one accusation that could legally force him out. And once that bombshell dropped, everything else fell right into place. His agency dropped him. The industry turned on him overnight. And suddenly, Colleen and Blake had free reign over the entire project. That's right, folks. This wasn't just some random controversy. This was a calculated hit. A cold, underhanded business move disguised as a "Not Me Too" moment. And now, the truth is finally coming out. Now it all clicks into place. Colleen Hoover isn't nearly as innocent as she wants everyone to believe. And here's one last explosive piece of proof, folks. A whole Reddit thread from someone claiming to be part of the It Ends With Us crew. And get this, This wasn't just some random rumor that popped up after the fact. No, this dropped a full 4 months before anyone outside the industry even knew there were problems on set. Yeah, sounds like this was planned from the very beginning. Now, let's really dive in, because these details, they will shock you. Here's the lowdown. Blake Lively allegedly felt uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni, especially after he reportedly told her she looked sexy in her outfit on set. Meanwhile, Justin wasn't happy with the initial cut of It. Ends with us, so he brought in his own editing team to fix it. Blake, clearly not pleased, pushed for her team to take over, but Sony shut her down. But instead of accepting defeat, Blake played her trump card. According to the leak, she threatened to go public with sexual harassment accusations, warning Sony that she'd take the story to the New York Times unless they handed her control over the entire project. Sony panicked. They caved. Justin was banned from the studio. Blake got full creative control. But then, things went completely off the rails. Blake brought in her own editing team, including the crew that worked on Taylor Swift's music videos, then ditched the project to jet off to Italy. The film turned into an absolute disaster. Realizing the mess she created, Blake had to bring in a professional editor just to salvage the chaos. And hold on, because it gets even wilder. When Taylor Swift found out that the film's composer was someone she didn't get along with, she reportedly threw down an ultimatum. It's him or me. And Sony caved again. They fired the composer, throwing even more chaos into this already disastrous production. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. This entire fiasco is looking like a carefully orchestrated takedown, a targeted attack, to ruin Justin's reputation and seize control, all for the sake of power and greed. If they had pulled this off, here's how it would have played out. Justin, gone. Colleen, sitting pretty with her shiny new production company, Heartbones Entertainment, ready to roll. Blake, total control over the project, reshaping it exactly how she wanted. And the worst part? They wrapped this power grab in a fake moral crusade. All while the internet watched it unfold. Now, let's talk about the timing Blake files her lawsuit. Colleen immediately rushes to back her up. Justin fights back with solid proof. And what does Colleen do? She goes completely radio silent. Yeah, that's all we need to know. The truth? It's finally coming out. But wait, it doesn't end there. Just as things were heating up, Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, drops a bombshell. He starts talking about subpoenas, hinting that even private digital messages could be exposed in court. And what happens next? January 22nd rolls around, and poof, Colleen's Instagram is gone. Just like that. It's almost like she knew something big was coming and needed to scrub her entire online presence before anyone could dig into her past. So the real question is, what exactly was she hiding? Because this isn't just about a book adaptation anymore. Oh, no. This is about power, about control, about greed. Colleen Hoover wasn't just sitting back, watching her book turn into a movie. She wanted more. More power, more influence, more control over how her story played out on the big screen. And when the opportunity to seize control arose, she pounced. The breadcrumbs are everywhere, and no amount of Instagram deletions or digital scrubbing can erase the fact that this situation is looking like a carefully orchestrated takedown of Justin Baldoni. But just when you think that's the peak of the drama, it gets even crazier. Because just as the tension between Justin, Blake, and Colleen hits its breaking point, guess what? Colleen Hoover is reportedly retiring. That's right, retiring. But don't pop the champagne yet, because there's a twist. Not everyone is buying the Colleen is stepping away narrative. There are rumors, whispers that Blake Lively might have played a far bigger role in this mess than anyone ever suspected. What if Blake manipulated Colleen from the start? Picture this. Blake pulls Colleen aside, looking stressed, and says, "Girl, I don't know what to do. Justin's been making me feel so uncomfortable. But if I speak up, it could ruin everything we've worked for. I know how much this movie means to you, Colleen. I just want to protect you from the truth." If that's what went down, Colleen might have truly believed she was doing the right thing. But let's zoom out. What if Blake was stirring the pot behind the scenes? What if she was whispering to other cast members, maybe even Brandon Sklenar, Atlas, spinning stories about how shady Justin was, hyping herself up as the hero while secretly pushing her own agenda? Classic Hollywood power move. Get everyone on your side. Throw Justin under the bus. Become the savior fighting for what's right. This whole thing, it's playing out like a Hollywood thriller. Backstabbing, manipulation, and power grabs at every turn. And just when you think you finally have it all figured out, here's the biggest bombshell of them all. What if this wasn't just about a movie? What if Blake and Colleen were playing a much bigger game? Because now, Colleen has practically vanished from the public eye. She's off social media. Fans are left in the dark, wondering what's really happening behind the scenes. And the whispers? They're saying Colleen regrets ever getting tangled up in this nightmare. So, is she really retiring? Or is she just running? Desperately trying to disappear before even bigger secrets come to light, because right now, Blake Lively is looking more and more like the true mastermind behind this entire disaster. The lies, the manipulation, the perfectly timed allegations. Everything is crumbling, and if Colleen really is stepping away, it might just be because this whole scheme is backfiring in ways she never expected. One thing's for sure, Justin Baldoni walked into this with pure intentions. But Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively, they were scheming from the very start. From Colleen turning on Justin without proof, to Blake's suspiciously well-timed moves, this entire situation is looking more and more like a carefully crafted setup. So, what do you think? Was Colleen just a pawn in Blake's game, or was she plotting from the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to smash that notification bell so you never miss a single update on this wild saga. Because trust me, this story, it's far from over.